5 spine-chilling deep woods tales with sinister secrets waiting to be discovered in the dark. The calm of Maple Hollow masked a lurking terror, where shadows whispered and the woods concealed chilling secrets. On the surface, the Thomas family seemed just like any other suburban family. Friday night dinners filled with laughter and old stories, the smell of pizza wafting through their cozy home. But as the sun dipped below the horizon before their planned camping trip, 12-year-old Tyler wandered into the unknown, leaving the comforts of home behind. Emma, his older sister, felt a shiver race down her spine the night before. She had always been the cautious one, her instincts razor-sharp, watching her brother with wary eyes. "Tyler, don't go too far tomorrow," she warned, her voice edging on panic. But their parents just chuckled, chalking it up to typical sibling rivalry while the glow of the dining room light barely chased away the dark that gathered in the corners. Saturday broke with a bright sun, yet Emma couldn't shake her unease. As they drove into the woods, excitement bubbled in the air, and neighborly cheer filled the campgrounds. But those tall trees towered ominously, stretching their branches as if to invite danger. Hours later, when a startling silence fell and Tyler didn't return, dread crawled up Emma's throat. The sun sunk too quickly, shadows contorting and twisting wickedly. Local authorities arrived with worn-out trust, quipping about a boy exploring too far. Emma's heart thudded in her chest as she insisted something darker lurked within those woods, but they waved her off. "Kids get lost all the time," a deputy shrugged, dismissing her worries. Meanwhile, neighbors busily tidied their porches, oblivious to the heart-wrenching fact that one of their own was slipping into the dark. Determined, Emma crept into the woods that night, torch flickering as dread coiled around her. The air chilled, and a sense of watchfulness enveloped her. As her light scanned the trunks, fear surged when she spotted unsettling carvings, twisted symbols she recognized from whispered tales about a predator that preyed on children who wandered too far. Each whisper of the wind seemed to call her brother's name, silk-threaded hope entwining with despair. Her investigation was met with discontent until she crossed paths with Mr. Harris, a peculiar neighbor who enjoyed sharing unsettling tales of the woods. "Watch out for the shadows," he muttered, his eyes glinting with a secret that made Emma's insides twist. Anxiety spiraled, but her resolve pushed through as she discovered newspaper clippings hidden in his shed, sparking her heartbeat into a frantic drum. Each headline echoed with tales of boys who had vanished over the years, all linked to a deep patch of woodland that gnawed at her gut. This isn't just folklore, she realized, dread pooling in her stomach. With clippings circling in her mind, she understood the horror of it. The darkness had a hunger for those who ventured too close. Time raced. Just then, a voice rustled through the trees, intertwining with her name. It echoed a warning, yet also a chilling invitation. Was it Tyler? The final crux of panic caught her breath as she rushed forward into the looming shadows. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The wind howled as she pushed deeper into the terrifying veil, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Emma blew past thorny branches, knowing the creature from the tales was closing in. She spotted Mr. Harris again, lurking just beyond the trees, his eyes shimmering with predatory delight. "You shouldn't be here," he crooned, a twisted smile spreading across his face. Heart pounding, she confronted him. "Where's my brother?" The woods seemed to pulse with rhythm, darkness breathing and colluding, revealing that somewhere, in its suffocating grasp, Tyler may no longer be who he once was. Would her love for him be enough to crush the sinister secrets that threatened their family? The trees listened, and as Emma faced the lurking terror, she felt the eyes of the woods weigh heavy upon her, daring her to uncover what it truly meant to be lost. Emma felt the blood drain from her face as Mr. Harris stepped closer, shadows curling around him like dark smoke. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice smooth and unsettling, each word laced with something venomous. "The woods don't appreciate intruders." What kind of man was he? Her guts twisted further as he lingered, seemingly reveling in her fear. "People vanish, you know. Those who don't respect the dark." Emma felt a cold sweat on her brow. Her pulse hammered as she searched his face for any sign of Tyler, but all she felt was the weight of the unknown pressing down. "Tell me. Where is he?" she snapped, desperate and filled with rage. But Mr. Harris only chuckled, a sound that vibrated with malice, seeming to echo from the trees themselves. It sent shivers skittering down her spine, and suddenly she wanted nothing more than to flee from his deranged smile. But the wood seemed to come alive, whispering something sinister just out of earshot. The trees loomed closer, their branches fluttering like long, bony fingers reaching out toward her. Emma turned on her heel, dim light flickering as she raced deeper into the forest, heart thrumming in her chest. "Tyler," she called, her voice cracking. She strained to listen for a reply. Any noise would do, but the silence clung like thick fog, suffocating all hope. Each rustle of leaves made her heartbeat pound louder, drowning her in dread. Then it came again. A voice, soft but unmistakable. "Emma." Her name slipped through the air like silk, threading through the trees. A glimmer of hope ignited inside her. "Tyler," she shouted, rushing toward the sound. But the deeper she went, the more the forest changed, morphing into something sinister. The sweet smell of pine was replaced by the musky, rotting scent that filled her nostrils, stirring her instincts into full alert. "What is happening?" she whispered as a gut-wrenching realization settled in. She wasn't just searching for Tyler, she was stepping into a trap. The energy in the woods shifted, the shadows coiling tighter around her as if they had teeth. Just then, a blur darted past her, too quick to catch. Panic surged as she turned, preparing for a confrontation, her flashlight beam bouncing wildly. But there was nothing there, only the mocking shadows that danced around her. "Emma," the voice came again, and this time it sounded hollow, devoid of life. There was something deeply wrong, like the woods were mimicking him. "Tyler, answer me," she cried, terror tightening her throat until she thought she might choke. The ground beneath her trembled slightly, sending a shiver through her. Glancing back, the area she'd just passed was now darkened, almost shifting, like it was breathing as the trees leaned closer, closing in on her. Then she spotted it. A dim light flickered ahead, like fireflies in the distance. Her heart raced with renewed vigor. Could it be a way out? Or was it something darker? Every instinct screamed for her to flee, but she pressed onward, fingers gripping her phone tightly, torchlight sweeping like a searchlight. "Tyler," she called out again, her voice cracking with fear. Just then, a shrill laugh echoed from nowhere, chilling her to the bone. "Help me!" It was clear now that whoever, or whatever, was out there was toying with her. As Emma rushed toward the light, uncertainty gripped her heart. What awaited her beyond that clearing? Was it life or was it death? The wind howled, shrieking like the lost souls of the vanished boys, a ghostly chorus warning her. But there was only one way to find out. With the ominous laughter fading behind her, she took a deep breath and stepped into the illumination, praying it would lead her to her brother. As she crossed the threshold, the world blurred around her, shadows stretching, reaching for the light. But the sudden calm that enveloped her felt like a betrayal. Something was throbbing in the air, thick and pregnant with anticipation, a promise that the deepest secrets of the woods were about to be revealed. Before she could gather her thoughts, a gray mist began to swirl at her feet, twisting into a figure, bringing an unnerving smile her way. And in that instant, she realized she wasn't alone anymore. What awaited Emma in the fog? What secrets of the woods would she uncover? The mist thickened, wrapping around Emma like icy fingers, and she stumbled back, heart racing. The figure solidified before her, revealing a gaunt face with hollow eyes that seemed to drink in the light. It grinned, unsettlingly wide, like it was enjoying a private joke at her expense. "Welcome, Emma," it rasped, the voice scraping against her ears. "You've come to play. Who are you? What do you want?" she demanded, her voice shaky but fierce. She felt as if the very air was charged with madness, pulsing with dark energy. "I seek only to guide you," it said, tilting its head to the side as if considering her. "Yes, guide you toward something, someone lost." It extended a long, bony hand toward her, an invitation wrapped in menace. "Stop it." She recoiled instinctively. "Where's Tyler?" The specter chuckled, an unsettling sound that echoed in the depths of the forest. Ah, the precious boy, so full of light and yet, so easily snuffed out. Emma felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" "He is here, dear. Just beyond the veil of truth. But traversing this land requires courage, and sacrifice." The figure shimmered, seemingly blurring in and out of focus, as if it existed on the edge of two worlds. What sacrifice? Emma thought of the stories she'd overheard, shivers running up her spine. The folklore whispered of deals made and souls traded in exchange for knowledge or passage. "Only what you're willing to give," it replied, a cold smile creasing its lips. "But the woods are unforgiving. Decide quickly, sweet girl. Time is a thief here." Emma could hardly think. Every part of her screamed to run, yet she was rooted to the spot, the weight of the forest pressing down on her. The dark trees hovered just beyond the mist, jagged and twisted, and she could sense them watching, waiting for her response. "Tyler. I'm coming." She screamed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "If you know where he is, just tell me. I'll do anything." The figure waved dismissively, the smirk fading momentarily. "Ah, desperation is intoxicating, but are you prepared to face what lies within?" Before she could answer, the air around her exploded with sound. Low, rumbling growls erupted from the shadows, and the light flickered, revealing countless eyes, glimmering with hunger. They were closing in, circling her like wolves scenting fear. "No! Get back!" Emma shouted, panic clawing at her mind. She swung her flashlight wildly, illuminating grotesque faces and tangled limbs that seemed to reach out from the darkness. The figure laughed, an echoing taunt against the chaos. "Choose, Emma. Join the feast or find your brother. Just stop, I want to be another sacrifice." She could barely think straight as the creatures advanced, their claws scraping against the ground, eager. Every instinct told her to run, to flee into the safety of the darkness behind her, but the shadowy threats loomed in front, a dead end of nightmares. Emma locked eyes with the ethereal figure, desperation pulling her closer against her will. "Tell me what to do." "Accept the darkness, dear one," it hissed, a promise shimmering in its hollow gaze. "Or let go of your hope." Just as she considered her next move, a familiar voice echoed coldly from the shadows. "Emma, don't listen to it." Her heart leaped. Could it be Tyler? "Tyler!" she cried, but the creatures surged forward, almost hanging on her words, ready to pounce. "Choose now." The figure commanded, the smile returning with a sinister twist, blurring her vision. With time slipping away, chaos swirling, Emma was torn between the figure's grasp and her brother's name echoing in her ears. "Choose." The tension snapped, and a sudden gust sent the mist spiraling, offering a brief glimpse of Tyler through the thick veil. Emma's heart raced. Time was running out, and she had to make a decision fast. What would she sacrifice to rescue her brother? Or was it already too late? The darkness thickened, pressing in on her as Emma's eyes darted toward the fleeting glimpse of Tyler. She could see his silhouette, his expression twisted in pain, his lips moving silently, pleading. It sparked something in her, igniting a fire deep within. "I want to abandon you, Tyler," she shouted, her voice breaking through the cacophony of growls and hisses. But even as she screamed, the figure's grip tightened around her will, tendrils of thick mist curling around her like chains. "Everything has a price, sweet girl," it crooned. "You must decide. What will you offer?" The creatures snarled, their breath hot and rancid, and the ground trembled beneath their weight. Emma felt frantic desperation clawing at her throat. If she didn't act soon, the mist would swallow both her and Tyler whole. "What do you want?" she shouted, her heart racing faster than ever, each beat echoing with dread. "Just tell me. Your innocence, perhaps?" the figure suggested, voice dripping with mockery. "Your courage? Maybe something more dear." It drew closer, its hollow eyes boring into her soul, reverberating with dark promises. An icy wave of realization washed over her. "I won't sacrifice anyone. Let him go." The figure merely laughed, its voice splitting the air like broken glass. "He's already part of this place, Emma. You'll have to embrace the shadows to find him." Emma's breath hitched, thoughts crashing against each other like waves against a rocky shore. Was she really ready to plunge into the depths of darkness? She paused, the weight of her choice heavy, her mind swirling with images of Tyler trapped in hopelessness. "Time is fading," the figure hissed, jagged teeth gleaming in the dim light. "They hunger for you. Choose what you will give, or face the consequences." Suddenly, the ground quaked as a massive shadow surged into view, a creature more twisted than the others, its eyes burning like coals. Scraggly limbs reached toward her, claws glistening with grotesque anticipation. Panic ignited in Emma's veins, and she stumbled back, her body pulsing with fear. "Tyler!" she cried once more, forcing the name through her trembling lips. The shadows shifted and roared, anticipating the sweet taste of her dread. A flicker of hope sparked within her. "I will fight for him. I'll give whatever it takes." She felt something stirring inside, a flicker of latent strength. In that moment, Emma recalled stories of powerful spells, old and forgotten, whispered in the dark. "By the forest's will, an ancient shadow. I summon the light." The mist recoiled, curling back from her sudden burst of light. It illuminated her figure, revealing newfound resolve. The creatures faltered, their eyes narrowing in confusion. "Foolish girl." The gaunt figure sneered, but its voice trembled slightly, the confidence wavering as the shadows pulled away. "You can't fight the darkness. It consumes all. I will not be consumed." She shot back, and in that affirmation, power coursed through her, igniting a fierce determination. She raced forward, toward the last spot Tyler glimmered beyond the veil, pushing past the curling fog. Just as she reached the boundary, her heart beat wildly in her chest. Fingers outstretched, she felt a pull, and the air shuddered with resistance. Would she break the veil and bring Tyler back? The shadow writhed, screeching in fury. "You cannot leave this place. The forest will claim you." But Emma pressed forward, feeling the warmth of hope building inside her. In that moment, the mist shimmered as if responding to her will, and she called out one last time. "Tyler! I'm coming." Then, a piercing howl shattered the night, almost drowning out her scream. The darkness recoiled and twisted, but there was no turning back. Emma took the plunge into the unknown. Would the light she summoned protect them, or would the darkness swallow her whole? The answer loomed just ahead, ready to unfold in the depths of the woods. Emma plunged into the fog, a cocoon of terror wrapping around her like a shroud. She felt weightless, as if suspended between two worlds, one of light and hope, the other a twisted nightmare from which escape seemed futile. "Tyler!" she roared, desperation clawing at the edges of her voice. The air thickened, swirling around her, carrying echoes of hushed whispers and muffled cries. It was a cacophony, a chorus of souls trapped in torment, begging for release. The ground below shifted, squelching beneath her feet as shadows flickered in the corners of her vision. Disembodied laughter erupted like fireworks, but instead of joy, it dripped with malice. Emma fought to steady herself, first by reminding herself of Tyler's face, that sweet, smiling face, and second by pushing onward, deeper into the dark. As she navigated the desolate terrain, each step pulsated with fear. The once familiar forest shrieked with life, now turned grotesque, branches grasping at her like skeletal hands, vines coiling like serpents, threatening to pull her down into the depths of despair. She glimpsed something ahead, a faint glow that pierced through the murkiness. Emma raced toward it, breath quickening while her heart pounded with frantic urgency. Please let it be him. Just beyond the serpentine trees, she stumbled into a clearing bathed in cold, silver light. At its center lay a shimmering pool, its surface undulating with whispers of lost souls. Reflected in the water, she saw images of herself writhing in fear, shadows encasing her in a death grip, her darkest hidden thoughts tangible in the glinting ripples. No! She cried, shaking her head, forcing herself to look away, trying to quell the gnawing dread inside. But from the depths of the pool, a figure began to emerge. Disfigured and drenched in shadow, it twisted into a recognizable form: Tyler. Emma. His voice was faint, barely rising above the chorus of whispers. His outstretched hand shimmered like fractured glass, a tear glistening at the corner of his eye. Help me! A low growl rumbled in the darkness, the shadows swelling around them, angry and ravenous. You shouldn't be here. It screeched, a serpent-like chasm yawning at the edges of the clearing. Emma felt ice flood through her veins. Let him go! She shouted, heart racing as she took a step closer. Feed us, and he will be free. The shadows hissed, swarming like a living entity, their hunger radiating off them in sickening waves. With every step she took, the ground pulsed with a heartbeat. It was hungry for her, demanding a sacrifice. What do you want from me? She yelled, a mixture of anger and terror barking from her throat. But in her heart, she already knew the answer. Your fear, your regrets, your very soul. They echoed, a hauntingly beautiful chant. Subconsciously, Emma recognized how dangerously close she was to giving in. The darkness beckoned, promising peace, a way out, a truth she didn't want to face. But she couldn't surrender. Not now. Not ever. Grinding her teeth, she clutched her fists, summoning every ounce of strength. I will not sacrifice myself. The moment the words left her mouth, the ground quaked violently. Shadows flared, and Tyler's form flickered like a dying flame. Emma, you have to believe, he whispered as the shadows writhed around him, threatening to pull him back beneath the depths. Suddenly, the clearing burst apart with a blinding screech, the light extinguishing in an instant. Radiance shifted to darkness, and fear throttled Emma. Was she too late? Trembling, she found herself engulfed by darkness. The shadows rushed in, shrieking, laughter echoing cruelly. But deep within that suffocating void, a fierce resolve ignited inside her. In that desperate moment, she lunged toward Tyler's fading figure, ready to defy everything: the terror, the darkness, the very fabric of her being. Open your eyes, Emma. Tyler's voice pierced through the chaos, firm and unwavering. Fight for me. With that, she understood: would she sacrifice her own soul to save him, or plunge deeper into the shadows, risking both their fates? The reckoning loomed just ahead, and the choice began to unravel. Would she succumb, or would the darkness unleash its final, feral fury? As that chilling thought settled in her mind, a chilling truth whispered across the winds: embrace the shadows, and all would become clear. Emma plunged into the void, the weight of her decision crashing down like an avalanche. The shadows writhed, hungry and chaotic, pressing against her skin, their icy fingers groping for her soul. Fear constricted her throat. Yet as Tyler's figure faded before her eyes, flickering like a broken bulb, clarity washed over her. She had to fight. She had to reach him. Emma. His voice sliced through the madness, filled with both terror and hope. You have to. The darkness swallowed his words, a malevolent presence mocking her desperation. The ground trembled beneath her, groaning like the souls it craved. Emma took a breath, its chill burning her lungs. She had to move. She had to find strength. With each stride, memories crashed into her like waves. Tyler and her laughter under the sun, quiet moments wrapped in warmth. Each recollection fueled her fire, a beacon piercing through suffocating despair. She pressed forward, heart pounding against her ribs, her pulse a frantic drumbeat urging her onward. Stop! The shadows hissed, their voices a cacophony of torment. They whipped around her, clawing at her resolve, each whisper a venomous tendril tightening around her mind. You cannot escape. But she refused to yield. You're wrong. She cried, voice rising, echoing like thunder in the abyss. She reached deep within, grasping the remnants of her faith, igniting her defiance. You will not take him. With newfound determination, she lunged again, sprinting toward where Tyler's shadow hovered like a moth drawn to a flicker of light. His anguish seared through her, a pain so real it almost broke her will. The pool began to ripple violently, reflecting her deepest fears in quicksilver flashes: rejection, failure, abandonment. Every heartbeat pulled her closer to the edge. Emma. Tyler's form flickered once more, flickering between solid and shadow with each surge. Help me. Please. Hold on. She shouted, each word a lifeline slipped into the expanding gulf between them. Panic clawed at her as she stretched her arm, reaching for the only truth she had left. As her fingertips brushed the surface of the shimmering pool, cold shockwaves rippled through her, a jolt that sent her crashing backward. The pool erupted with a piercing wail, shadows swirling violently, their hunger intensifying, hungry eyes glimmering with malicious delight. Feed us. They shrieked, the words crawling under her skin, clawing toward her heart. Feed us your pain. Emma fell, breathing heavily, panic clawing at her throat. Had they cornered her? Had she walked into the one trap she had vowed to evade? No. She fought against the rising tide of despair. I will not feed you. But then she hesitated, flashes of moments where she had felt like nothing echoed back. Times when she had felt unworthy, shamed, lost. The darkness feasted on those memories like a wolf savoring a fresh kill. Emma felt them like heavy stones, dragging her down. Just as hopelessness crept in, Tyler's voice resounded once more, bright and fierce. Emma, you have to believe in us. Together, we can break this. The pulse of his love wrapped around her. Emma's heart ignited with courage, burning away the tendrils of doubt. She pushed herself up, standing firm against the ravenous shadows, centering her resolve. I believe. The shadows screeched in rage, convulsing as if struck. The cacophony of screams reached a deafening crescendo, clawing at her sanity. The ground shook violently, threatening to swallow her whole. But a surge of light erupted from where she stood, enveloping her like an armor forged from hope. Let him go. She roared, every ounce of pain and strength balancing on the knife's edge of determination. The darkness roared back, a pitch-black tsunami ready to devour her whole. Just when the darkness seemed most overwhelming, Tyler reached out, his eyes burning with urgency. Emma, you must take the leap. Only you can save us. In that moment, she realized the truth: the shadows could only hold as much power as she allowed them. Was she strong enough to cast them away? What if it isn't just me? She whispered, her heart racing. The shadows paused, uncertainty rippling through their depths, as if sensing the awakening within her. But the answer came too late. The ground surged, shadows collapsed upon her with a primordial roar, and the world around her fractured into oblivion. As she felt herself descend into blackness, she clutched her heart, and a haunting question lingered in the void: how far would she go to reclaim what was lost? In the oppressive silence, something stirred in the dark, and an echoing whisper reached out: the choice is yet to come, Emma. Emma's world snapped back like a rubber band, the sensation of falling replaced by a painfully familiar discomfort. She gasped, lungs burning as if she de-emerged from underwater. Blinking rapidly, she pushed herself up from the cold ground, but the abyss was still wrapped around her like a thick fog, the shadows swirling endlessly, hungry for her fear. "Tyler!" she shouted, but only silence answered her. Panic surged, and her heart raced. The weight of the darkness pressed against her, suffocating and thick. Had she lost him forever? She looked around, scanning the gloomy expanse. The ground was littered with twisted roots, cutting into her skin, the jagged stones like teeth ready to devour her. The shadows hissed and coiled, whispering her name in mocking tones, each syllable a sharp dagger. "You will never find him," they sneered, a horde of malicious voices rising up. Emma's mind spun with confusion, memories of Tyler lurking just out of reach. "Leave him alone," she cried, clenched fists trembling in defiance. But their mocking laughter filled the air, a chorus of dark mirth that reverberated around her. As she struggled to compose herself, a flicker in the distance caught her eye. A soft glow pulsed, rhythmically illuminating the darkness, guiding her like a distant lighthouse in a storm. With her heart hammering, she stumbled toward it, each step fueled by desperation. Emma, the voice was familiar, threaded with pain and longing, making her blood run cold and hot all at once. Was it really him? Tyler. Hope erupted within her, a fire blazing against the shadows. The glow brightened as she moved closer, revealing a clearing enclosed by towering trees, their gnarled branches scratching at the night sky like bony fingers. The air felt different here, charged with energy, almost electric. She reached the edge of the light, eyes narrowing against the brightness. And there, at the center, stood Tyler, his face etched with anguish, his arms stretched out toward her. "Come to me, Emma," he urged, voice breaking, eyes pleading. "But be careful. The shadows will try to pull you back." Just as she stepped forward, the ground beneath her trembled violently, and the shadows writhed like a living thing. "No!" they shrieked, their collective voice a cacophony that echoed through the trees. "You are ours." Emma felt a violent tug at her very essence. Her heart raced as fear entwined with her resolve. "I want to let you have me," she roared, digging her heels into the ground. The shadows roared back, leaping toward her as if trying to smother her with their dark tendrils. "Focus." Tyler's voice rang out again, the love and strength it carried anchoring her as she resisted the pull of despair. "You are stronger than this." Gathering every ounce of strength she could muster, Emma's mind raced back to the moments they had shared: laughter, joy, and love. Those feelings ignited her once more, like the sun breaking through storm clouds. With a primal scream, she surged forward, hands outstretched toward Tyler. "I believe in us." But the shadows screamed, their desperation palpable. They coiled tighter around her limbs, seeping into her skin, each shattering memory an attempt to pull her back into their grasp. "You are nothing. You will fade." For a heartbeat, it seemed hopeless. Then, with raw determination, she screamed through the pain, rallying her thoughts against the suffocating dread. "You don't define me." Light erupted from her body, branching out in waves, ripping through the darkness. Shadows recoiled, screeching in fury, their grip slackening as they faltered against her burgeoning strength. "Now, Emma!" Tyler shouted, his eyes bright with hope. "Reach for the light." With a final lunge, she threw herself into the brilliance, and for a moment, everything was still. Then, a blinding flash engulfed her, a surge of warmth flooding her senses. But in the corner of her mind, a small voice whispered, the choice was never over. As the light began to fade, a chilling realization crept back in. Something was still lurking in the darkness, waiting to break free. Whatever she had awakened was not yet vanquished. In that instant of ethereal silence, uncertainty hovered like a dark cloud, settling over her heart. Was this truly the end, or had they just awakened a greater terror? The answer lingered dangerously close, echoing in the shadows. Suddenly, Emma gasped as the brightness splintered, fracturing into shards that scattered like glass across the night. The warmth slipped away, leaving her shivering in the cold void. The forest around her shifted, the trees bending and swaying as if alive, whispering to one another in a language she could not comprehend. "Tyler?" She called again, desperation thick in her voice. But this time, it felt as if the shadows were swallowing her words whole, choking them long before they could reach him. The clearing she had found was disappearing. The ground shifted beneath her feet, roots writhing and wriggling like serpents. The light that had offered hope flickered, pulsating erratically. The trees seemed to lean in closer, their twisted branches curling as though they were eager to ensnare her. An icy finger grazed her neck, and Emma spun around, heart racing. The air crackled, thick with anticipation. "You made a mistake, Emma," a voice hissed from the darkness. It was low and guttural, echoing like thunder in a desolate sky. "Who's there?" Panic surged. She couldn't let them scare her. "Show yourself." A chuckle slithered through the shadows. "You think you can awaken the light and not pay a price? You were naive to believe it would be so simple." The ground shook, and she stumbled back, the shadows slithering dangerously close, hungry and relentless. She felt something wrap around her ankle like a cold vine, yanking her downward. "No!" she screamed, flailing wildly. "Your weakness only makes us stronger," they taunted, the voices swelling into a frenzied choir. "You were never meant to stand against us." But Emma wasn't going to give up. "I want to let you take me," she shouted. Drawing from every ounce of strength, she tore at the shadows, breaking their hold on her leg. The darkness around her twisted angrily, and she lunged toward the last flicker of light remaining. "Tyler!" she cried out, forcing herself to keep moving. She could see him again, if only for a moment, standing at the threshold of the light. His eyes darkened, filled with some kind of dread that was not there before. "Emma, stop. It's not safe," he yelled, his face contorted in agony. That alone pierced her heart, the sight burning deeper than the shadow grips at her legs. "What do you mean?" Panic surged through her veins. "What's happening?" In that moment, the darkness surged forward. Tendrils engulfed her, and every scream went silent. But she held tight to herself, to the love they shared, fighting back with everything she had. She would not let them devour her spirit. Then, in a split second, everything changed. The flash of light morphed into an overwhelming tide, crashing against the shadows with a roar. She felt the weight of love against her, a shield holding back the dark. But the shadows rallied, growing stronger. "This isn't the end, Emma. You are tethered to us now, a link we will exploit." Suddenly, a blinding light burst forth, and the ground beneath her stabilized. The whispers faded, replaced by a commanding voice. "You have awakened me, but do you comprehend the consequences of your actions?" The brilliance momentarily blinded her, yet she felt something larger than herself surrounding her, something that wanted either to protect or to consume. The air turned colder, and she realized she stood at a threshold, battling shadows within and outside her. Emma Tyler's voice was weak, suffocated. "What have you done?" She turned, dread coiling tightly around her chest. I thought I could save you. Not all light is pure. Not all shadows are meant to harm," he warned, fear tainting his tone. The shadows surged forward again, but this time, the clash felt different. A sickening chuckle echoed through the forest, and the dark mass shifted as if it had its own heartbeat. "Welcome to the game," it whispered, voice smooth like silk but laced with malice. She was caught in the eye of the storm, forced to navigate in a world that twisted in ways she could barely understand. The trees groaned ominously as the finality of her situation descended like a cold shroud. With shadows screeching and uncertainty swirling, Emma knew she had no choice but to step deeper into the abyss. But would she find the strength to escape, or was there something far worse waiting, something buried beneath the layers of darkness and light? As the ground felt like it was slipping away, her heart raced. Was this the final battle she would face, or merely the beginning of something much darker? That question echoed through the void, a cruel whisper probing at her resolve. Emma felt the pull of the shadows, relentless and cold, wrapping around her like a heavy fog. Each tendril gripped tighter, whispering promises of fear and despair. "Let go," they urged, voices like steel scraping against her thoughts. But she refused to yield. Flashes of Tyler's haunted gaze flickered in her mind like a dying flame, igniting the courage buried in her heart. "I will find you," she muttered under her breath, just as the shadows twitched, as if reacting to her words. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet morphed again, shifting into a patchwork of jagged rocks and thorny, twisted roots. Emma stumbled, her breath hitching in her throat as pain shot through her foot. Bruised but not beaten, she pressed on. She had come too far already, she couldn't let this wicked place consume her completely. A low rumble echoed through the depths of the forest. It sounded like a warning, a beast awakening from centuries of slumber. The trees loomed closer, their branches stretching out like skeletal fingers. "Did you think you could silence us?" They whispered in unison, their voices a haunting caress against her skin. Then, piercing through the murky dimness, a small, flickering flame caught her eye. It danced playfully, beckoning her like a lost soul aching for salvation. Hope flared within her chest. Was it really a flame? Or just another trick of the dark? Emma hesitated but felt an irresistible pull towards it. As she approached, the flame revealed itself to be an old lantern, weathered and forgotten. Its glass was cracked, and a soft glow spilled forth a warm light in this chilling void. It felt almost alive, whispering to her past the darkness. Emma's fingers brushed the cool metal, sending a shiver down her spine. "Light the way," the lantern seemed to say, as though it could sense her fear. With trembling hands, she fumbled for the matches in her pocket. The shadows around her pulsed impatiently, annoyed at her hesitation. Emma struck a match against the side of the lantern. The flame leapt to life, illuminating her surroundings and pushing back the encroaching tendrils of darkness. For a heartbeat, silence hung in the air. But then, the shadows hissed, their malice deepening. "You think mere light can save you?" they crooned. "Oh, but it only intensifies your wretched fate." Emma ignored their taunts, gripping the lantern tightly. She felt a pulse echo through the air as if the forest itself were alive, responding. The light grew stronger, pushing back against the sinister whispers, but the shadows fought back, swirling like a tempest around her. "Find the heart." Tyler's voice bled through the chaos, more intense than before. "It's not just a journey, it's your family. The truth flows from there." The lantern's glow shifted to a deep crimson as if stirring from a dark memory. Fear clawed high in her throat. Was her family caught in this twisted game, tangled among the shadows? She steeled herself, the weight of the revelation urging her onward. Emma turned, her resolve hardening like steel. "Whatever it takes, I will save them." Each step she took sent shockwaves through the ground. But the laughter of the shadows turned into a cacophony, a storm of voices laughing, crying, pleading. "You are too late, you should have never sought the light." They screamed, the world spinning around her. Suddenly, everything stilled again. The forest fell silent. The lantern flickered, whispering ever so softly, "Fear the heart but embrace warmth." Emma's heart raced. Time was running out. What did it mean? The echoes of her past clashed with the dread of the present. She had to keep moving. The heart awaited, hidden deep within the dark woods. Would she find it in time? With every ounce of her strength, she pressed forward, unaware of the lurking predator watching her movements, waiting to strike when she least expected it. What awaited her in this dark labyrinth? And what horrors lay beyond the heart she sought? The answers hung thick in the air, a spellbinding tension coiling tighter around her. Emma took a deep breath, heart pounding. "Keep going," she whispered to herself, pushing forward into the unknown. Little did she know, the shadows were watching and they were hungry. The darkness thickened around Emma, swirling like a storm as she pressed on, the flickering lantern casting eerie shadows against the gnarled trees. She could feel the pulsing heartbeat of the woods beneath her feet, and a shiver raced down her spine. "Keep going," she urged herself, each step a tiny rebellion against the overwhelming fear lurking around her. "Tyler," she called out, her voice barely echoing in the oppressive quiet. "I'm coming." But her heart ached with the weight of uncertainty. What horrors lay ahead? Would she find him? The lantern's glow flickered with urgency, and she grasped it tighter, drawing strength from its warmth. Suddenly, the shadowy figures coiled closer, whispering sweet promises of despair. "You cannot escape what you've awakened, Emma. You've unleashed us all," they taunted, voices twisting through the air like vines. Each mutter sent chills down her spine, their hungry anticipation wrapping around her. But Emma gritted her teeth. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions any longer. "You may think you own the shadows, but I refuse to be just another victim." She pushed forward, driven by that flicker of hope, the image of Tyler's face shining in her mind. Every step was harder, as if the earth itself wanted to hinder her progress. But she lifted her chin, heart hammering, tears pricking her eyes, and kept moving. The pain in her legs became a reminder of what she was fighting for. Her family. Love was worth every bruise, every scrape. "I will find the heart," she vowed, even as shadows crept closer, a chilling wind swirling around her. Then, out of the darkness, a familiar voice broke through. "Emma." Tyler's voice was thin but clear, filled with hope and fear. It lit her resolve like a spark in the night. "Tyler. Where are you?" The lantern flickered wildly at her side, urging her onward. "Straight ahead. But you must hurry." With newfound determination, she stumbled towards the sound, dodging branches and rocks, the weight of shadows pressing behind her, trying to drag her back into despair. She could see a dim glow up ahead, pulsing like a heartbeat. "I'm coming for you," Emma cried, her voice imbued with a fierce spirit. As she neared the light, she burst into a clearing, and there he was. Tyler stood in a circle of silvery whispers, shadows clinging to him like a dark veil. His eyes were wide with fear but glimmered with love. "Emma!" he gasped, arms outstretched toward her. "Hold on!" She screamed, racing forward, but suddenly the ground shook beneath her. The shadows morphed into a writhing mass, roaring angrily, "You should have stayed lost. He is ours." Time felt frozen. The shadows twisted around her, a black tide threatening to swallow her whole. Something primal surged inside Emma. "No!" she shouted defiantly. "He's not yours." With every ounce of strength, she lifted the lantern high, and in that moment, a blinding light burst forth, scattering the darkness like a pebble thrown into a pond. The shadows howled, retreating momentarily as if the light seared their very essence. "You cannot hold me hostage," she cried out, voice steady. "Emma, now!" Tyler urged urgently, pushing through the shimmering barrier. "We can break this together." She felt the raw energy of their connection surge. Igniting that love meant breaking the curse of fear threatening to bind them. "Together," she echoed, stepping towards him, their energies intertwining. As they joined hands under the pulsating light of the lantern, an explosion of warmth enveloped them, the shadows screeching in pain as the brilliance grew brighter. "You've lost your power over us," Emma declared, feeling the chains of despair shatter around them. But the darkness roared back, furious. "You think you can escape this realm? You will pay." With a surge of energy, Emma focused all her fear, memories, and heartache into the light. "No, this ends now," she screamed, and the lantern exploded with waves of luminescent energy that pushed the shadows back into the abyss. A final howl erupted from the dark beings, their horrific faces twisting and contorting as they were pulled away, spiraling into nothingness. The darkness frayed, unraveling like a thread in fabric, and suddenly silence. For a heartbeat, everything changed. The oppressive weight lifted. Emma and Tyler stood in the light, their breaths heavy and hearts racing. Their eyes met, each filled with unspoken words of relief. "Emma, you did it!" Tyler exclaimed, tears shining as he pulled her into an embrace. But in that moment of bliss, the remnants of darkness rustled just out of sight, a faint whisper lingering. "This is not the end." Emma felt the air shift, apprehensive, as the shadows faded behind them, but for now, warmth enveloped them where once there was fear. "Let us go home," Tyler said, determination etched on his face, as they stepped back into their world. And as they emerged, the sun began to rise, washing away the remnants of the darkness. Maple Hollow stretched before them, peaceful once more. But deep within the woods, the whispering shadows waited, biding their time, holding secrets yet to be uncovered. Although they had won this battle, Emma knew she would always be vigilant. Together, they could face anything the darkness might throw at them. The bond between them had grown, forged in the fires of their shared struggle, and from that moment forward, they would carry the light of their courage wherever they went. As the adrenaline faded, excitement bubbled in her chest. "We're going to tell the others everything." And with that, they turned toward home, hand in hand, ready to embrace the dawn. Now's the time to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button to pump up the algorithm and let me know you're here. And flood the comments with your reactions and theories because I want to hear every last thought you have about this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic finale. Your support means everything. A true fan knows how to keep this adventure alive.